To solve a probability problem that satisfies the binomial distribution, you're going to need 4 pieces of information to plug into the formula. The first piece of information you'll need we refer to as n. N is that fixed number of trials that we find where we stop. The next thing that you're going to need to plug into the formula is x. And x represents the number of successes out of the n trials that you used. Notice it's not probability, and n is always going to be smaller. X will always be smaller than n, because think about it. If you're looking at 20 M&Ms, how can 23 of them be green if you only looked at 20? The thing to notice is that both n and x are going to be whole numbers. We picked 20 M&Ms, which is our stopping point, and we wanted to know if 5 of them were red. That's our x. The next thing that we need to look at is probability, and we use lowercase p to represent the probability. Really important, it's the probability of one success. Usually you're looking for 5 M&Ms, but it's the probability of a single M&M. And then the second thing we'll need from that category is Q, where ultimately Q is just the probability of a failure or the complement of success, which is why we say 1 minus P. The thing to notice in terms of P and Q is that they're going to be a decimal number. They might have started as a fraction or a percentage, but when we go to plug them into the formula, we'll be plugging them in as decimal numbers. So let's look at this example below. 80% of flights arrive on time. We're going to test 15 flights and find the probability that 10 of those flights arrived on time. So first thing I always like to know is what was success for this problem? And as I reread it, success is a flight arrives on time. Remember, you don't want a number associated with it. We are interested in 15 for this problem, but this is what you're asking yourself. Somebody says, flight 1036 just arrived, and you're just going to say, is that flight on time? Not are 15 of that flight on time. So now that we have this, we should be able to find all of our other points. N, the fixed number of trials, 15. We're going to look at 15 flights, and we're going to stop. X, the number of successes we want, 10 in this case. We want to know if 10 flights arrived on time, since success is an on-time arrival. P is the probability of one success, the probability of an on-time arrival, 80%, but remember, since we'll write it as a decimal, we'll say 0.8 or 0.8. And then that means Q, the probability of not arriving on time, which would be a failure, is going to be 0.2. I just took 1 minus 0.8 and got 0.2. Here's another problem to look at. What is the probability of getting 8 right on a 10-question multiple choice test with choices A through F, assuming for each question? So I always like to know what was the success I'm looking for in this problem, and it would be a right answer. Now, although we want the probability of 8 right answers, as I get to each question, I would say, is this one right or not? And then I can classify it as being one of the 8. So now I need to know N, my fixed number of trials, 10, because we look at 10 questions and we stop. Next would be X, the number of successes I want for this probability question. And we're looking to see if 8 of those questions were correct. P is the probability of success. Now I wrote 1/6 this time, and I said decimals are really the way to go. The problem with 1/6 as a decimal, it's non-terminating. It keeps going 0.1666666. And the minute we start to round a number, our answer is going to be off. So if I can leave 1/6 in the formula, I'm going to have a much more accurate answer than had I put 0.1667, right? I would have had a round. And the last thing I need is Q, the probability of failure, or the complement of success, which would be 5/6. And in case you forgot your fraction math, I'm taking 1 minus a 6th, but changing the 1 into 6/6 so that I could just subtract the tops. Other people look at if 1 out of 6 is right, then 5 out of 6 is wrong. Hey, why have I been using 6 as the denominator? Well, if the choices are A through F, A, B, C, D, E, F, that's 6 options. Go ahead and work on the next one yourself, and let's check in class and see if you got that right.